If there's three things that you remember from what I talked to you today about, it's three words: gather, organize, and track. And think about it in terms of data. We launched our masterQueue platform at Finovate in the spring of 2011 to be able to help debt collections really find anyone they needed to find, and in order to do that, you really need to gather, organize, and track data. I'm joined on stage by Jeremy Weavy, who's our senior product strategist, and he's going to take us through the software. When you log into masterQueue and you pull up accounts, no superheroes, Greg, it's me. It's my data, and there's 458 pieces of data on me: phone numbers, type of data, date, name, address, score. We score the data to be able to tell you which pieces are more relevant in order of finding the person, and then the source of the data: Clear, Equifax, TransUnion, CBC, whoever the data providers are. And then there's an overall FinTech score that tells you the likelihood of finding your customer that you've lost touch with. In this case, it's 85.9%. Let me show you how we used to do it. Now here's my data in the way most financial institutions who are not using a data mapping program, their people are looking at thousands of pieces of data manually through multiple different websites, trying to figure out in their head how can they contact people they've lost touch with. It's a very old school manual process, and given the new data privacy laws, it's almost impossible to be able to go in and map it and track it. The reason we're here today is to be able to show you some regulatory compliance, but first I'm going to show you what it looks like when you just have 4 pieces of data. You've got the same place of employment information, you've got the same subject information, but what you also have down at the bottom is something that says LPR. What does that mean? License plate recognition, because there's cameras out there taking pictures of our cars all over the country, and there's billions of records of where our cars are. So why go pull thousands of pieces of data when, if I look at the bottom, it says June 13th of 2019, my car showed at 1162 Suncast. What does that look like? Well, I can see everything on a map, and I can zoom right down to it, and I can be able to see exactly where the car showed. And now, instead of going and just repossessing the car, I'd like to talk to the customer and try to work it out. We're here to try to make collections easy, not just for the lenders, but also for the customers. There's the phone number: make the phone call, talk to the guy, resolve the account. That's what we built. We didn't realize that 2 weeks after we built it, they were going to launch the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and just completely rock all of our worlds in terms of regulatory compliance and what we had to do. That changed the game for everyone in a variety of different ways across the financial institutions, and especially in debt collections. This is a program here that we wrote with one of the largest lenders in the country, who's in the room with us today, and helped tell us what they needed. They needed regulatory compliance that they can edit. They needed to be able to hide the data that they don't want to see internally and hide the data they don't want their vendors to see. They need to be able to say with that license plate data, that's pretty sensitive stuff. I want permissible purpose every hour on that, or every 4 hours. They need to be able to look at what their vendors are looking at in the same system and say, I want to be able to enforce my compliance rules on my vendors, as well as not having my vendors working in different systems. I want everything in one place. I want to mask the phone numbers completely or a little bit. And then I've got all these rules. Oregon: if you contact the place of employment once within 7 days, you're not allowed to call the people again. All the different time zones you have to follow. What's the rule in Washington? What's the rule in Massachusetts? What's the rule in New Hampshire? And then there's federal rules. You're only allowed to contact the customer once, or you're only allowed to contact someone who's not the customer trying to find the customer once in the life of the loan. How are you sharing that with your vendors? The new rules in debt collections: how are you only contacting the people 7 times in 7 days, and when you talk to them, not calling them for another 7 days? This is why we're here. This is the award that we're a finalist for tonight. But it really doesn't matter, because we have to innovate. I heard MX up here yesterday talking about innovation and having an IoT type of system where you bring everything in, and is exactly what needs to be done in this space. The most challenging thing we're dealing with, and as Jeremy is showing you right now, is data privacy, the California Consumer Privacy Act. By show of hands, how many people are aware of what that means? Now, keep your hands up if you really understand it. 6 months it took me to try to figure it out and try to build something that says, how can I edit the data privacy? How can I make sure that I can enforce the rules on my vendors if the consumer asks me to see their data? Because when they fined Facebook $5 billion earlier this summer, because Facebook said that some people got access to the data, on Friday it was not some people, it was 10,000 websites they shut down. And I wonder if that $5 billion fine is still in play, or are they reviewing it still? The fine prior to that, the biggest one the FTC ever levied, $22 million against Google. 22 million to 5 billion tells you the stakes of data privacy. Generate a consumer report, gather data. You have to be able to tell your consumer what you have. Where did you get it? What was your business purpose? What was your permissible purpose? How did you get it? Who'd you share it with? What do you have? Do you want to delete it or not? It's all up to you. These are the smartest people that I could find. I'm a skip tracer. This is my 9th startup that I've done. And I started in debt collections, finding people who didn't want to be found. And I built a software to do that. Now I build a software for regulatory compliance of how to do it to be able to protect all of the financial institutions in the room. The lady on the right wrote the California law. The lady next to her is probably the smartest attorney. She's speaking tomorrow as the keynote speaker at the International Association of Privacy Professionals. The lady on the left is the chief compliance officer at one of the major financial corporations in the country. The first person to come to me and say, John, what are you doing about data privacy? Very few lenders are even digging into it as they should, because when you look at the GLB exemption, it has really nothing to do with what you're going to be able to exempt. And if you listen to that webinar, you'll hear that. We're here for 2 reasons. One is we're here with our client to be able to be recognized for something that we did with a pretty cool tool. But we're really here for innovation and to be able to look at what's coming next, and that's data privacy. And in order to do that, we're here to go from a bootstrap company to be able to raise a little bit of capital and to be able to try to really achieve what we've tried to do. So we're doing our first Series A round of funding. We've got our booth outside. Look forward to meeting anybody who's interested in our product to use at your financial institution, or to look at possibly investing in our company if you understand to the degree that we do what we're saying. Thank you so much.